Now, as you heard a short time ago, the California wildfires have to date put almost 180,000 people under evacuation orders, with 10 already confirmed dead.
We are checking in now with some eyewitnesses live from LA, starting with broadcaster Darren Kennedy, who is working in LA. Darren, good morning. There is a lot of there's a lot of harrowing images there at the moment. How is everything for you over there?
I have to say, there's a very eerie feeling this past couple of days. Quite apart from anything else, there's been a massive plume of smoke, creating this kind of shadow over the city, over many parts of it, which is, a lot of people have vacated. There was the mandatory evacuation, and then a lot of people, obviously, in neighboring neighborhoods decided to leave town. So it's quieter. There's a lot of smoke in the air. It feels unsettling would be how I describe it. Very unsettling.
How has your particular situation been since the news first broke of these fires on Tuesday? I mean, how close are you now, and are you yourself under any possibility of evacuation at this point?
I don't think so. So when it all broke out on Tuesday in the Palisades, which people will be familiar with hearing of now. So I'm in West Hollywood. So to put that in context, it's like I went to the top of the building here to look at the Palisades. So as the crow flies, it's about 15 kilometers. So it's like the GPO on O'Connell Street to Malahide, roughly. And I went up there, and honestly, it was... The flames were just ferocious. The sky was red. And even at that distance of 15 kilometers, you could see the wind whipping up the flames. And it really looked like a scene from House of Dragon or something like that. And I'm not saying that to trivialize it at all, but it was just almost unbelievable. And that was when it was at a distance. And you're seeing the devastation there. Like, it really is heartbreaking. And then the next day, I'd actually I had a meeting, and I came out of the meeting, and I'd noticed everything around West Hollywood had gotten a bit frantic. People were getting in their cars. There was a huge amount of traffic unexpectedly. And it turns out there had been the Sunset Fire, which is essentially in Hollywood, about 1 kilometer from where I am. And that was really when things shifted dramatically in this part of town. The Hollywood Hills, as anyone who's been to LA or seen the sign, it's very close to a very, very densely populated area. And that was the moment where I was considering, and I packed a bag and I got all my belongings, all my important belongings, and was getting ready to go somewhere. I wasn't quite sure where. I was just outside the evacuation order by about 2 blocks. Mm-hmm. And we could see from the roof of the building the fire itself. And the wind was the real issue, because, it was quite literally fanning the flames. But I heard one report that the flames and the fire was actually spreading at a rate of a football pitch every 30 seconds. Mm. So, you couldn't even, not that you'd want to, but like outrun that or hardly outdrive it. And thankfully, they managed to get the Hollywood Hills fire under control pretty quickly. There was a lot of airplanes, and I think it was that 24 hours had made a massive difference, because the wind had died down somewhat. Now, it was still a lot windier than it usually is, but it wasn't I don't believe those 80 mile per hour winds. So they managed within a couple of hours. But, that being said, I had friends who live up on that hill who ended up having to vacate their home and come and stay with other friends in the locale. I have other friends in the Palisades who, I found out today, they're a house that I'd been in a couple of weeks ago for work is completely razed to the ground. There's nothing left of it.
Darren, I hope you do keep safe and well over there. And we're all thinking of you, of course, on this side of the Atlantic. But we'll check now on another source from the scene now. It is journalist Ira Spitzer. Ira, thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. Could you first of all tell us any ideas on how these fires started this time around?
Well, so many stories of devastation around this city, and investigators are trying to figure out what could have started these wildfires. There are 2 major wildfires burning right now, 2 of the biggest wildfires in the state's history, not to mention the biggest fires in LA's history. There are no concrete signs yet as to what could have caused those fires. There have been some leads that they are following up on with regards to potential electrical issues, but no information yet. There was a smaller fire that sparked earlier today called the Kenneth Fire. And, well, we don't have confirmation of how that fire started. The authorities have actually taken someone into custody on suspicion of arson. So it's a very tense situation, a very tense time here, of course, in Los Angeles, with both the tremendous gargantuan effort of fighting these massive fires and at the same time trying to deal with just the emotional toll of all of these evacuees who don't know what they are going to be returning to, if they will have anything to return to at all. So certainly 2 days or 3 days now that will change this city forever.
Ira, could you give us an idea of the scope of the damage? How much of LA has been affected by these fires?
Well, we've learned from the authorities earlier that this is now officially the most destructive wildfire in Los Angeles history. That's the Palisades fire. And between the multiple wildfires burning, the count is now estimated to be at least 10,000 structures. And what's really kind of shocking here is that from the ocean all the way to much further east inland, you have these two separate fire systems. And when you stand at a vantage point, you can just see smoke covering the horizon. You can see flames in the distance. Really, a lot of the Los Angeles area remains on fire, even in the areas that are not actively burning. Of course, we have many, many square kilometers that look like an absolute wasteland with just burned out houses, burned out automobiles, just remnants of people's lives. And that's, of course, going to take years to recover from the kind of damage. The financial cost of this disaster has been estimated at around $50 billion so far. So quickly becoming just an unimaginably complicated and tragic situation.
Ira, also of concern is, apart from the fires itself and the damage that the fires are causing, is the air quality. Electricity out for a lot of people. There's no air conditioning. There's no chance of getting clean air. So people are being advised to stay inside. So what will happen if the air quality gets much worse excuse me, than it is already?
Well, the big driver of some of that bad air quality is the wind direction. So for the first couple of days, we had the wind going offshore, blowing a lot of that dangerous air out into the ocean. But those winds have shifted a bit, and there is poor air quality around much of this city. So there have been school closures announced, so the children will not necessarily have to be outside if the parents don't take them out. There are masks being advised to be worn because the air quality could certainly be harmful, especially for people with pre-existing conditions like asthma.
Ira Spitzer in LA, and of course Darren Kennedy as well. Thank you both so much for joining us on the show this morning live from LA.